Now, the quest to find out one's past really is a global sensation. More than 2 million people have accounts with Provo-based Ancestry.com.
Yeah, with so many people learning about their family trees, Good for Utah's Nadia Crow wanted to join in. Tonight, she's digging deeper into her own roots.
Part one of our series with Ancestry.com, we explain how you can get started. And I sit down with the matriarch of the maternal side of my family to discuss her journey into our family tree that started many years ago.
It's almost universal, this desire to know who we are and where we came from.
So how do you get started? Simple. Talk to your family and then head online to Ancestry.com and start plugging in information on your family tree.
What Ancestry does is goes and takes those names and dates and relationships that you've put in that tree, and behind the scenes will look for clues or different document hints to make getting started and finding that first document that much easier.
This is the document digitation room inside Ancestry.com's corporate headquarters in Provo. The global site enters 2 million of these documents each day. Documents like birth certificates, military records, and yearbooks.
There are so many people that are not just looking for stories or family culture, but that are seeking truth.
One of the easiest documents to find is a census, a snapshot from the past to help rattle your grandparents' memories.
Show it to them and say, hey, this is a record of you as a child, and you had these siblings living with you, and do you remember who your neighbors were? Did you know that your dad was working as an insurance salesman at the time? Start throwing out little pieces of information that'll jog their memory, and you'll get stuff that you have never heard before.
I started my own journey with step one, talking to my grandmother, Carolyn Lori Heiser. She's in Illinois, so I interviewed my granny on Skype.
Well, as a child, I've always been interested in their family history.
My grandmother is one of 6 siblings born to Thomas Nichols Jr. and Lucille Hunt.
Whenever they were talking about, their parents, I was right there listening and picking up information. So it was always something I wanted to know more about.
And in the 90s, she logged on to Ancestry.com to find out more. My great-great-grandfather, Thomas Nichols Sr., and his wife, Emma Murphy, lived in Mississippi in the early 1900s.
They said because he had married this woman, this German woman, that was either mulatto or full white. And whenever they saw them together, then there was a lot of, concerns about it.
Relatives say they fled their home because of death threats. Family historian Michelle Erkenbach is hot on the fading trail.
There are real gaps in record creation, especially for groups like African Americans or for descendants of the Holocaust, where records weren't created or were destroyed.
While it can be difficult, more documents are rolling into their archives each day and piecing together the puzzles of the past. And maybe due diligence might answer some of the questions lingering for generations.
I really want to know where exactly my father came from, my grandfather, and where my grandmother came from.
And the next part in this series, I sit down with a family historian to learn more about my great-great-grandfather who fled Mississippi after a controversial marriage and our Native American heritage. And in the last part of this series, my DNA makeup revealed for the first time. Reporting from the Satellite Center, Nadia Crow, Good for Utah.